What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, NVIDIA, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward and what you should be watching for as time goes on. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. And the offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, as far as the market's going, we have 362 to 363 as our main resistance. If we break out of this for Tesla, we're going to be looking for a big push higher. If we end up losing 348, we're looking for a dump to much lower levels. We're in a range right now, so it's very, very tight. But typically, we get very tight before a big move, so that could be coming very, very soon. So I'll talk more about this in just a couple of minutes. Let's first talk about some data and news. As far as Tesla's going, what is very interesting is that Elon Musk is getting a lot of criticism right now, especially because of the German sales that have declined. With the Model Y refresh coming out within 2 weeks, I think this could really help offset those sales. But I've seen Musk continuing to get criticized for his politics. There was a survey that was done amongst some Tesla, buyers, and there's actually a lot of them that said that they would not have bought their Tesla if they knew that they would be subsidizing Musk's takeover. Now, this is what they're saying. At least in their words, this is what reports are suggesting. This doesn't represent every Tesla buyer out there. I still think that Tesla can still see high demand. A lot of buyers will still be there regardless of this news. So I'm not saying that Elon Musk is hurting Tesla sales entirely, but to some extent, there are some buyers who are not as happy with him. That's the honest truth. But I don't think that it's going to be enough to really cause Tesla sales to decline for the year. I still think there's high demand for them, especially with the refresh coming out and another potential model. So Tesla's going to be fine. I'm not really too worried about that. And with Robotaxi ramping out, not to mention them developing Optimus, I think Tesla's share price will be fine despite this for the long term. For the short term, there are some regions that are being affected possibly by Musk. If you guys look at like Germany, many parts of Europe, and etc. So not the best of news, at least for the short term. Politics is very, very divisive. It's not really the best for a CEO to be involved in that, but I don't think it's going to be a killer for Tesla. I just think it's a short term hurdle, and eventually people will get through it, and Tesla sales will improve over time. That's my main view, guys. Yes, there's going to be some people who are angry at Elon Musk and Tesla. Yes, it is affecting their sales to some extent, but they will offset this with the Model Y refresh. And as time goes on, I think Tesla sales will be fine. When it comes to other pieces of news, there's not really much data that's come out so far. We just got some housing data, which is all quite minor. Keep in mind, we have at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the New York Fed Treasury purchases that are going to be coming out, then a couple of bill and bond auctions, which is all quite minor. What's going to be more important will be the FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see what the Fed says. Will they be more hawkish or dovish? Will they give us more insights on interest rates? Get ready for what the Fed's about to announce. The minutes is just a report on paper, so get ready for that. Besides that, the market's near all-time highs, but starting to slow just a bit. And then on top of this, there's been some uncertainty involving tariffs as it may be affecting home prices. And then Intel saw a really, really good report, especially after earnings that came out. There was a report that came out about the fact that Broadcom and then the Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturing, also known as TSM, are possibly weighing bids that could break up the chip maker. That would be very, very interesting if they end up once again taking over the chip business for them, and they actually help them in a lot of different ways. It's a possibility, but we'll see if this improves their chip designs or not. That's a very, very big piece of news thus far. We also have Etsy announcing its earnings. Unfortunately, they missed when it comes to revenue. That's why the share price is down. Their gross sales are actually down about 8.6% to $3.3 billion. That's part of the reason why the share price is in the red. So for now, that's what we're seeing, at least thus far. As far as Tesla's going, we're in a range. So if we break 360, we're looking for a pump higher. If we lose 348, we're looking for a dump. For now, with the market looking a little heavy, it is possible Tesla might actually push upon open and dip to about 348. But we'll see if we bounce off this or not, if we could hold this. If we hold this, then yes, there's going to be hope for us to see a big rebound once the FOMC minutes come out. If not, if we fail to hold 348 even after the minutes are released, there's going to be a risk of us returning to 330. So please keep that in mind. So watch this range. Does Tesla break 362 to be bullish, or do we lose 348? I think we consolidate a bit. We might dip a little bit looking at this setup, but then the minutes report at 2 p.m. is going to cause a lot of volatility. So get ready for that. As far as SPY is going, okay, I am seeing something very interesting. So we pumped very, very nicely, excuse me, to about 612, but the problem is that we were not able to break past it. And now it's kind of shifted. So we're starting to see what may be a double top that formed up here. And we're going to be watching to see if 610 holds. If that doesn't hold, it's possibly dip to 608 and maybe even 605 for a temporary dip before this market tries to bounce again. So this could be a temporary dip just to start things off. I think we might be visiting the low 610s, if not 608, and we'll see if we bounce again off 608, if not 605. We might be bouncing off one of those supports, so watch them very, very closely. Might see a small decline to the 608 area before it tries to bounce. So we'll see how it goes. For the QQQ, similar setup. We had this big red bar. We balanced. We're trying to make a full recovery move. Then we start to slow down a little bit more. So it might return to like 536 to 535 before it tries to bounce again. Might see a small decline by like 2 to 3 points before some buyers return. So look for a small decline, and then we'll see if we bounce off the FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. or not. Keep that in mind. For the Russell 2000, we have this inverse head and shoulders like pattern. We need to try to hold at 225. If not, this will be dipping lower. So look for a test of 225 and see if we bounce. If not, we could be dipping even more. For ES, we have support at 6122. We're going to be watching to see if we get a bounce off this or not. Might decline just a bit more, and then we'll see if buyers defend. So keep that in mind. There might be a small decline right here. For NQ, same thing. We have like a double top. It might be a small decline before it tries to bounce again. We could be looking for 22,100 first. As long as you don't lose 22,000, we could bounce later on and eventually make our full measured move up. So I was breaking down how we had these inverse head and shoulders on ES and NQ. We will likely eventually push higher, but there might be a small decline coming. It's like 22,100. As long as you don't lose 22,000, we're going to be fine. Look for a small decline before you try to bounce. It's just going to be very, very minor for both ES and NQ. So just keep that in mind. For others out there, we have Bitcoin trying to rebound. If we break 96,500, we're looking for an attempt for 98,000. For NVIDIA, we're very flat right here. We had this top that formed. Might see a small decline to about 136 if we end up losing 138. So that 138 to 136 range could be tested. And we'll see if we bounce off this or not. So give this some time. I'll be very, very patient. So we'll see if we dip and bounce. Give it a little bit of time and patience. But it might just be a temporary dip as Tesla's continuing to remain range bound. Aapl, it's bullish. It actually still is quite bullish, but I think the 4-hour is showing a small decline to about 240. It might retest 242 to 240. Then we'll see if we bounce again off of that. We came very close to filling this imbalance. Might see a small dip here before it tries to rebound. The market's looking a bit more dippy this pre-market session, so it's a little bit of a shift. Coinbase, we tried to bounce. We're going to be watching to see if we can hold at 260. Might retest 260 before it tries to bounce again, so keep that in mind. Amazon's on a bit of a decline. We need to hold 225.5. If not, it could be dumping to like 222. Might dip a little bit more. It's looking kind of heavy here. Meta is looking a little bit weak. We have to hold 708. If not, we're going to be dipping to 700. Microsoft is a little weak here, looking for 405 to see if we bounce. And then Google, very flat right here. We have support around 183 and resistance around 189. We're still going back and forth, so give this some time. The VIX is attempting a rebound. It's very flat right now, so we're going to be watching to see if we can get back above the 16s or not. The market's looking a little dippy, just a tiny bit dippy for now. So we might see a temporary dip before some buyers try to defend us again. So please keep that in mind. A small decline, a temporary one, before we see some buyers defend is very probable. So keep that in mind, even for Tesla and the others. Now, this is just a temporary dip. Okay, very, very temporary move. The market could easily bounce later depending on the FOMC minutes, depending on what the Fed announces once the report comes out. So get ready for that. Otherwise, be prepared for some volatility, maybe a little bit of downside before we get a nice bounce. Thank you for listening, and peace out.